Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Justin Baer. And Justin is an entrepreneur passionate about redefining comfort and style through innovative apparel. His journey began by combining the look of a dress shirt with the comfort of a polo, creating a hero product that revolutionized professional wear. Inspired by life in New York and milestones like marriage and fatherhood, he's expanded his life into a full menswear collection known for performance utility and timeless luxury, featured on Shark Tank, The Wall Street Journal, and Men's Health. His brand goes beyond clothing, fostering communities centered on excellence, integrity, and creativity. Seeing his designs in action and hearing how they boost confidence is the most rewarding part of his journey. He loves sharing insights on e-commerce, Shark Tank, and the future of fashion with professionals who value innovation and style. So without further delay, plug your earphones in and let's jump right into this conversation with Justin. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Now, we always like to ask our guests if you could share in your own words a little bit about your journey, how you got from where you were to where you are today.
Sure. So always been an entrepreneur as a kid. People ask me, hey, were you in fashion? Did you work in one of the big fashion houses? Not at all. Always been in software and technology and coming up with new ideas. But yeah, as a kid, just always coming up with stuff. I was always interested in entrepreneurship and coming up with a business, and, was raised in a family that, I joke, some kids got Sports Illustrated. We got the Wall Street Journal. We were thinking about, okay, where are we going to put our birthday money? We bought, one share of Toys R Us stock. So always been intrigued by business and coming up with ideas, and have had numerous ideas. And this is probably, I don't even know what number it is, but I had a business in college. I had a software business before this, actually, that I still own. And this was really just a side hustle concept. So like every year I'd come up with a new idea just for fun. And this one was, I wore a sweater over a dress shirt every day in New York City. It's kind of like the Midtown uniform. And I hated wearing it because I thought it was uncomfortable and scratchy and hot. And I was like, I think I want to do this. And my wife's like, this is crazy. Like, not another idea. I'm like, what? I have nothing else to do. It's kind of during COVID. I'll see what I can find. So I really dug in and researched everything I could about factories and cutting and sewing and what is involved, and basically came up with this thing called the Dress Collar Polo, which is a polo shirt, but it's got a firm collar on it. So it looks like you're wearing a dress shirt, and made white, and then learned everything I could. And then this is a funny story, but I really had my daughter, who was 7 at the time, take pictures of me on a white wall to try and get model shots. And then created this Shopify site, put these shirts up there. And then my daughter, who was into dance, she's like, Dad, you gotta do a TikTok video. So I'm like, okay. So she held the phone up, in my closet. And I'm like, guys, don't you wear dress shirts? They're hot. They suck. You check out one of these Dress Collar Polos. And that night sat down to watch Netflix with my wife. And, on Shopify, you get like a little ka-ching when a sale comes through. And we were sitting there and the phone started ringing and people started buying these shirts.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Colors and Co. So you're in this retail business. This is your full-time occupation now, Colors and Co?
Full-time. We took it really from just a polo company, with one polo. Now we've got 300 SKUs. We're in a 20,000 square foot warehouse. We've got 20 employees.
Wow.
I wish it was full-time. That would mean it was probably like 40 to 60 hours. This is more like 100 hours. So I'm really working on this all the time, thinking about it. One of the reasons it's been kind of successful so far is I'm obsessed about it, right? So this is an idea that I'm completely obsessed with and think about it all the time, and trying to think of whether it's product ideas, marketing, anything. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's definitely obsessed about making sure this thing works. And
yeah,
we're grinding, we're getting some traction.
But I think so too. I think so too.
And you bought one, like you didn't say, like it.
I did
Without even knowing, which is great.
I had no idea. I read your profile when the information came through to have you as a guest on our podcast. And what sparked my interest was Shark Tank. It's a show that I watch from time to time, and I find that you do have a lot of great persons who come on with innovative ideas. Sometimes the ideas are taken on and they do get the investment they're looking for to take the business to the next level. And sometimes, for whatever reason, the hosts just don't see the value in the business. But I don't think in any point in the email was it mentioned that it was Collars and Co. So it was actually in your background. No, I'm looking up there and I'm like, I know that logo. I get that email like every day.
It's funny.
So I just found it so strange when, I asked you and you said, it's your company. I was like, wow, that is crazy. I literally was told about the company early March when I was in the States. And I bought a couple of the shirts and I haven't seen them as yet, but I'm telling you, every email that I get and I go through, I mean, I think you have a new one now where you have like a sweater blazer that I'm thinking of investing in that one as well for him.
Mm,
But it looks really, really good.
it's sharp.
So I will definitely promote your product because I'm
Thank
definitely
you.
a fan already, even though I haven't actually seen or felt
Fantastic.
it
He'll
as
like
yet.
it.
I think you
You guys
will.
will like it. Yeah, it's fun.
So tell us
Um,
about entrepreneurship. What has that been like for you? And in terms of customer experience, because this is a podcast about customer experience, how has that been in terms of navigating the quality of the experiences your customers have, not just your external customers, but even managing 120 team members and kind of having that level of energy and culture that they have the same level of passion that you do?
yeah, wait, 20, just 20 employees. I'm scared about
Oh,
100
I thought you
employees. I
said
don't know what I would do.
120.
No, that would be crazy. Oh God. Um, 20 is plenty. But no, it's fun. But you know, for me, it's a constant learning experience. I've never run a consumer product before. My other businesses have been B2B, which obviously has consumer experience too. But this is, a little more, I would say, I guess you could say a little more delicate, when you're dealing with the public. Um, and it's a little more, yeah, it's a little more delicate. I would say it's been a journey, just like you said. It's a customer experience journey, learning how to and learning about all the new tools that are out there to improve the customer experience, starting with emails and then emails around the flows. So you have post-purchase survey, you have a abandonment cart flow, and you have all these different flows that you have to kind of keep in mind and balance of, is it too many emails? Is it not enough? And we're constantly looking at that. Um, from the customer experience standpoint, we hired a company within the last 2 quarters, about 6 months ago, to actually look at our customer experience on our website. So we're going through and we're actually A/B testing many different aspects of the website, changing button colors, changing some larger issues, the sections on the website, and trying to make it the cleanest, easiest possible customer experience for online. So that's a pretty big investment to make those changes. And we're all doing it with data. So sometimes we'll run a test. I'm like, test A is definitely going to win. And turns out test B wins, and they've got the data to prove it. So we're doing some enhancements there. Also, the checkout experience, cart experience, upsells, downsells, you name it, we're working on it. But that's a big part of it. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell our listeners maybe 3 skills that you have either gained or even sharpened since you started this journey?
Oh God, there's a lot more than three, because like I was saying, I was never been in the fashion business before. So I've had to learn pretty much all aspects of it. At the end of the day, we sell widgets, you sell a service, we sell product. We've got customers, we're trying to service them and try and great products at great prices.
Mhm.
At the same time, creating the brand. But a skill that I think is really important is learning how to edit, video editing. Everything right now is a lot very social driven. A lot of social media, whether that's your social media ads, whether it's your organic posts. If I didn't have, or kind of learn, I really had to learn how to do all this, the skill to edit video, to edit photos, I don't think we'd be anywhere near where we are right now. I think the time to get things out would be more difficult. Um, to hire somebody else that doesn't have your eye or your taste the way you want to see it could be really difficult. They would even if you paid somebody, not to mention the expense and the speed, how slow it would be, but they might you might see something and not quite, you need to have it adjusted. So you're going to go back and forth 1,000 times. If you can learn CapCut, learn Instagram, learn Adobe Photoshop, that is an incredible skill to have. I mean, now we have a graphic designer, but I'm still doing a lot of the video editing. I'll take when we're on set with our models and I'll do a video. I'll be like, oh, I want to make this into an ad. Well, at night I can kind of learn how to tweak and cut and edit a lot of the videos. So that's one skill for sure. Accounting, another good skill that you got to have, right? You're going to run a business. You got to know your numbers inside and out. Accounting, and I didn't really do it before, but now I'm, really understanding P&Ls and cash flow statements, balance sheets. As we get more and more complicated, we now have a CFO, but yeah, kind of understanding that skill as well. And kind of bring it back to the customer support. We have 4 part-time and a couple of full-time customer support representatives, and being able to understand what's our culture, how are we going to talk to these customers, what's our brand voice. I read something a long time ago that has always resonated with me, which is treat your customers like you're talking to a celebrity. Like, imagine your customer called and it was like Cindy Crawford on the line. Well, I can tell you every company in the world would be bending over backwards for her, right? Or Tom Cruise calls. It's like, oh, I want to stay at your hotel. That hotel would do everything they can. They wouldn't be paid anymore. They would do everything they can. And this is before social media. So now everyone feels like there's some reciprocal, oh, I'm going to get a post out of them. But this rang true way before that, when there was nothing that they would even do for you. But it's just knowing that treating your customers like they're celebrities is really important to us. And we feel like we do kind of go the extra mile, and customers call and they say, hey, this is sold out. We're like, you know what? Let me see if we can go find one in the back for you, and doing whatever we can. But I think that's just like overall feeling of treating customers like they're a celebrity, like you would treat one.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Justin, could you also share with us what's the one online resource, tool, website, or application that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
We use Shopify. That's in our tech stack. We use Triple Whale, which is an e-commerce attribution software and tool. Allows you to kind of figure out where your sales are really coming from. Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, they'll all organically say they're attributing more sales to them when really it's probably not. So they're over attributing. So Triple Whale kind of helps us there. So I would say those 2 main softwares are the keys.
Tools that you definitely can't live without.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Can you also share with our listeners maybe 1 or 2 books that you've read? It could be a book that you read recently, or even one that you read a very long time ago, but it has had a great impact on you, whether personally or professionally.
I think one of the better sales books I've read is The Ultimate Sales Machine, which is a great book. And one of the big takeaways I've taken from it is selling based on data, which I thought was an interesting concept. It's letting the data sell. So for instance, my software business, I have to think about how to relate to the close, but the software business I had is a texting platform, basically telling clubs, like let's call it country clubs and golf clubs, it's called Member Text, to use texting in addition to email. And so when I would do a demo after reading the book, I would basically say, hey, did you know open rates are only 20% and 80% of your emails aren't getting opened? And did you know that the average member of your country club is not reading your emails because they're busy, they're professionals, they're 40% are this and 40% of that. So you're taking them down this road of data that's doing the selling, and then you just come in with the solution. Like, did you know, well, text messages have a 98% open rate and they're read within 3 minutes. And 94% of people prefer they'd be texted. So it's letting the data sell whatever goods you have. So like, I guess if we connected it to clothes, it would be like, hey, did you know that clothes are one of the first things people notice about you when you're going to get a new job or when you're going to go on a date. And you know what I mean? So you're using that data to say, oh, well, by the way, we sell this awesome garment and it's $100. How much is that worth to you? You're kind of trying to let the data sell for you. That was a really interesting concept from that book, but
Perfect. So we'll have the link to that book in the show notes of this episode. Now, we'd also like for you to share with us, Justin. I know you mentioned the three skills that you've developed as a result of this entrepreneurial journey that you've been on. I think it's important also for our listeners, and I want you to answer this question not as an entrepreneur, but as a customer. As a customer, when you shop with another organization, if you could tell us maybe 1 to 3 things that are most important to you as a customer, what do you look for in an organization, whether they're selling you a product or they're giving you a service?
Testimonials, social proof,
Mhm.
right? I want to know, did other people use this service, use this company, bought this product and liked it? I think social proof is
Yeah.
really impactful. The return policy, whether that's a service or a product, right? If I always ask, well, I get demos all the time of different softwares trying to pitch us on e-commerce softwares. Hey, we can do this to your checkout, or we can, like, well, can we try it out? Is there a trial? I think is really interesting. And let's see, something else would be, especially for the B2B products, it's support, customer support, and being able to reach somebody should there be a problem, versus just being able to have to like email in. It's always nice when you have an account manager that's going to hold your hand or someone that you can talk to. I'm sure there's 10 or 20 of these things, but those are kind of these 3 things I look for when
Awesome.
getting pitched a
Excellent.
service.
Thank you so much for sharing. No, this is totally not customer service related, or I guess it could be. While you were speaking just now in terms of testimonials, I thought to myself, I was thinking about our listener base, and I thought to myself, even though I do have a wide cross section of gentlemen that listen to my show, I do also have a wide cross section of females. And if I can recall, your product is only for males, correct?
We do have a women's line too. It's a smaller one, but we do carry women's polos with
Oh,
the
you
firm
do?
collar.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So that's the question I was going to ask you. If you're looking to launch into the female side of it, because I know men are very conscious about their fashion, but I'm sure have you seen the world as it has evolved, women are even more, and I'm sure that that's a
Yeah,
potential of money you're leaving on the table that you could definitely
totally. I mean,
captivate.
we've got a board here that we look at with ideas for our women's line, and we're going to definitely expand it. Um, I guess the reason why we haven't gone so deep in it is we feel like there's still room for our menswear. We're still launching new
Okay.
categories. We've got a cool travel blazer that's stretchy and comfortable. You can roll it up in a bag, comes up, and we've just created these pull-on pants where you literally just pull them right up, and they're like professional dress pants, but there's no the button's just a faux button. There is a zipper, but you just like pull them on like sweatpants. But reaching women's a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
And we don't, all of our influencers, all of our models, they're all men. So if we wanted to get into women's, it's like a whole nother business.
I got it.
And I guess right now we feel like, how much resources we want to put behind that. And it's really a whole nother game. It's different Facebook campaigns. You're speaking to them differently than you would, our male audience, but it's definitely something we have on our board. And yeah, I could see over the next few years, we'll probably roll out some type of a
Perfect.
larger women's line.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Now, could you also share with our listeners what's the one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
The people ask me a lot, I'm sure you're thinking about your next idea, right? You get this serial entrepreneur idea. Like, what's your next idea? Come on, I'm sure you're thinking about something. And the neat thing with this business, when this brand is, I get to come up with a new idea all the time, whether that's a new shirt pattern or a new category altogether. And I kind of get to scratch that itch and kind of get that dopamine hit to see if it's going to work or not.
Mhm.
So like when we launched the travel blazer, that was just completely new. Sure, we were known as like a polo company, but now they're coming out with a travel blazer. Well, how's it going to work? Well, I get to kind of design it and come up with the marketing behind it and create the ads for it and the pictures. Um, so basically we've got some really cool things coming. The next thing I'm most excited about is actually our performance dress shirt line. So we made a dress shirt. It's a performance dress shirt, but it doesn't look like one. It doesn't feel like one. It feels incredible. It's got like a icy cool thread in it, so it like feels cool to the touch on your skin, for guys that get hot. And we did a partnership actually with the Aero McLaren IndyCar race team. So it's now the official performance dress shirt of the Aero McLaren team, which is really neat. And we're actually in Indianapolis last week doing photos with the drivers. So we're really excited about it. I think it's the best performance dress shirt out there on the market. We've tried them all. They're all sitting in my office on hangers here. And our idea was, how do we beat it? And we think we did. We'll see.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing those being worn on TV when we get to see those races for sure. Perfect. All right. So Justin, we're basically at the end of our interview, and we always like to ask our guests if they can tell us. Our listeners would have tapped into this episode, and I am definitely going to be talking about your product even more after this awesome opportunity. If they wanted to connect with you online, where can they find you online?
Yeah, our website, collarsandco.com, COLLARSANDCO.com, collarsandco.com. And then you can catch me on LinkedIn too, Justin Baer. We're on Instagram, TikTok. We've got some cool behind the scenes stuff. And yeah.
Perfect. I didn't know you were on TikTok, so I'm definitely going to follow you after I jump off this interview for sure. All right. One other comment we'd like for you to share with us. During times of adversity or challenge, if for any reason you got derailed or you got off track, do you have a quote or a saying that helps to kind of get you back on track or get you back in focus?
Yes. So, it's interesting when someone comes to my office and they're like, hey, we've got a big problem. What I say is good. This is great. What's the problem? Because that means we're going to be able to improve something.
Right.
If there's an issue, hey, we've got a big problem. The people don't like the tags or something. I'm like, okay, great. Well, if this didn't come up, we never would have been able to improve them. Let's call the factory, change the tags, make them faster, make them smoother. So it's kind of reframing your mindset of looking at your problems as kind of good things, because those are things you need attention, and you can make it better and improve on it. If this problem never came up, you never probably would have changed the tags or something like that. So we try and look at problems that way. Definitely stay in the solutions. It's, you have some employees that would kind of, think about the problem. Like, all right, let's just solve the problem. There's something we can do about it. Let's just fix the problem. So that would be another thing, really staying in the solution, not wasting time, hemming and hawing about it. But we do look at problems as those are good things. That's great. That means we can improve.
Excellent. And that's actually a great way to look on it, especially from a customer service perspective, that your challenges or your complaints from your customers are actually opportunities for you to improve. So it's good that you actually think that way from the onset, that you reframe problems into solutions, because if they were never presented to you, as you said before, you would never have gotten the opportunity to fix it, and you could lose business as a result.
Yes. So you should be so excited someone comes to you with a problem. Because if they didn't and they kept it to themselves, well, you wouldn't be able to help the next 1,000 people that are going to have that problem.
True.
So
awesome. Well, Justin, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. As you can see, I've been smiling from ear to ear. I just found it so amazing. Sometimes I think God really divinely puts people into your life, and I don't think you ended up on our podcast by chance. So nice. I just want to tell you, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day. I'm sure you're busy. You have lots of other things doing, but you took the 25 minutes to sit here with me and have this conversation, and I'm truly grateful. And I know our listeners will get great insight and just great value from this conversation that we've had together.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and take some pics when you get the clothes. Let me know.
I will.
We'll put you on Instagram. We'll tag you.
I will. I definitely will. I'm going to make sure to take pictures of him and send them to you.
That would be great. Fantastic.
Well, thank you. So just want to remind our listeners that you can follow us on X at Navigating CX, or join our Facebook group at Navigating the Customer Experience Community. I am your host, Yannick Grant. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.